Hello everyone and welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to be going through and explaining the storyline of Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2 was an absolute masterpiece of a game in my eye. The story and how it progressed from that of Hellblade 1, the graphics and the photorealism throughout the game, and every cutscene being within engine. The appreciation for the story was massive from my side, especially how it advanced from the first game, and how Senua and her journey progressed from being taken over from the darkness in the first game to learning to deal with it in the second and being in control of it. I made a story explain video for Hellblade 1 the other day, so if you want a very brief recap of that story, then go ahead and check that one out. All the links will be in the description down below or on the screen right now. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments as to what your thoughts on Hellblade 2's story really was, and of course the game in general. As always with these videos, let's try to hit 500 likes. That would be absolutely amazing, and if we do, I'll give away a couple of copies of Hellblade 2 to some people in the comments down below on the platform of your choice. But without further ado everyone, let's dive straight into the story explained for Hellblade 2.
Do I know you? It's been a long time. She made a promise to the one she loved, dead now, but no less. A promise. Not one soul more would suffer as he had. She carries him in her heart. His death, his life, will drive her on. She will forge a purpose from his death, make meaning from the pain. And then the Northmen came again to our land, stripping us of our names, our lives, of everything that makes us who we are, beating and binding, taking us as slaves. These Northmen sail under a blood-red sign. One among them they call Master.
Hellblade 2 starts from where the first game leaves off. Senua made a promise to her dead lover, Dillion. Not one more soul would suffer as he did. He carries it in her heart, his death, his life. She would forge a new life from the pain, making meaning of it. But just as she was about to put this in motion, the Northmen came to her people's land, beating, killing, stripping the people of everything. They sailed under a blood-red sign. Senua was captured purposely to trace this evil back to the source and end it once and for all. If you guys want more information on what happened to Dillion, why Senua is doing what she's doing, then be sure to go check out my first video on the original Hellblade game and the story explained for that. It will go through everything in detail. Senua now has the ability to be in control of her psychosis, to control the voices in her mind, the visions in her head. This in turn helped to control the darkness, the one thing that was taking over her in the first game. Suddenly, however, the boat Senua was on with other prisoners was caught in a storm, sending it crashing into the waves, breaking it into pieces. Senua was weak, but she fought her way to shore, seeing other prisoners that weren't so lucky being washed up beside her. Senua made her way across the Icelandic beach, hearing the screams and the cries of all those lives that were lost to the Northmen, with Senua believing those lives are lost because of her. The darkness taking over. She should have stopped it, and the longer the darkness prevails, the more it will weigh on Senua's chest. However, as much as Senua is in control of her psychosis, there is still one person in her mind that haunts her to this day. One person that would always have their say when times got tough. Zimbel, Senua's evil father. Senua would constantly see visions of him, listening to him mock her at every opportunity that he could, tell her that what she's trying to do is worth nothing. All of this to die amongst strangers? Is it worth it? Is she worth it? And then, snap back. Senua thought his voice was left in the past, but that wasn't the case. Senua carried on forward across the beaches with strong thoughts spurring her on. She continued to make her way across the Atlantic beach looking for a way out of the rocky maze until the voice of her father came back to haunt her again, seeing all of the mosaics of dead bodies lost and dead on the beach. However, she then came across the commander of the Northmen. He managed to get the better of Senua to start with, but she smashed his own hammer into his leg and was able to get the better of him after that. Senua was about to strike his head with a large beach stone, essentially killing him, until...
Poisoning her mind with fear. That rot covers him now. Covers him.
Do you see it, Senua?
Yeah, she
Do
sees
you see the darkness,
it. She feels it.
the faces of fear and suffering?
Senua needed the commander of the Northmen. She needed him to take her where she needed to go, where he came from, where he takes the slaves, what happens to all of the slaves. The root of what happened, that's what Senua needs to find out. That's the promise that she made to Dillion, and she's not leaving until she fulfills that exact promise. Senua asks the commander what the sign means. It's Godi. It's his father's situ. The people here would not survive without his help. But why? Senua reaches a point with the commander where he adamantly told her, no further. Something here is wrong. Senua would then hear cries in the distance, someone or something in distress. Senua, however, found another way inside, and there could be another perspective. Whatever she needed was inside this settlement. She needed to go and find out what it was. Senua ties up the commander, leaves him outside, and tells him to wait there until she's back. Zimbel would still haunt Senua throughout this entire time. She thought that once she'd left Hell, he would remain there and she would be free of him. But this darkness is hers. She will never be able to leave it behind. It carries with her. It's a part of her. She must learn to control it, ignore it, and not be fazed by it. She won't let the memory of her mother or the memory of Dillion slip from her again. Senua makes her way up the mountainside where she can see a series of lights. Something up there is drawing Senua in. Iltoiga. Iltoiga. A name being muttered in the background, almost like it's being summoned. A prisoner's head hacked off and eaten alive right in front of her by the druids. As she hid away behind a wooden plank, hoping that it wouldn't see her, she slowly moved around the outside of the wooden structure, hoping to not be seen or heard, watching innocents be massacred in front of her own eyes, until Senua sees a man tied up. He reaches out to Senua in the dark. We didn't know his name at this point, or Senua had never met him before in her life, but knew that he was important. He would try to find the light in the darkest moments, travel to help people as often as he could, and here he is strung up as a sacrifice. But then Zimbel comes back, tries to take over Senua's thoughts, telling her that this man, his kin, killed hers, that she's lost her way, trying to get inside of her head. But Senua knew that she needed to free this man. Senua finally reaches him and frees him, and there, these beasts start summoning something. The land all around them begins to crack, fire beginning to show. The man exclaiming to Senua, "We must leave now. Iltoiga is coming." However, just as she was about to come, sunlight hit. Iltoiga must hide from the light, but she'll be back, and she will hunt us until we die. This man's name is Fargrimmer. He comes from a settlement nearby and came here to seek help. The Droiga were calling to a creature, summoning it, and Fargrimmer was a sacrifice, an offering. The commander of the Bjork, his name was Thorgester, and Fargrimmer knew him. Senua would think about what to do, and decides to set him free and take him with us. Thorgester would come with Senua and Fargrimmer to his settlement, where he would tend to his leg, and they could plot a plan. But what is Iltoiga? Well, she's a giant. She will awaken at sundown so we must move quickly. Giants cannot be killed just like gods. They come out at night and hide by day. But when winter comes, it will be an endless night, with little to no daylight at all. Soon enough, the giants will just take over completely, and no one will be safe. As the three of them push their way through, the sun starts to go down, and Forgesta and Senua start to feel something. The ground starting to shake, vibrate. It's Iltoiga. Senua sprints towards the hills, lava completely covering the canyons, and then, there she is.
Get out! Get out! Quick, move! Why does she not move? You can't. She's frozen. Stupid. What are you doing? Look at her.
She is reaching for something.
She wants him.
Quick,
For him.
save him.
Quick!
She was brave. She's stupid. She can see into you. She wants you. You are monsters.
Iltoiga looks into the eyes of Senua, not breaking contact for a second. Iltoiga is suffering like Senua, and they both recognize that when looking into each other's eyes. She didn't kill Senua, she didn't hurt her, she reached a hand out towards her. However, Forgesta threw a spear into her face, holding her off so the three of them could escape. It was here that Fargrimr told Senua how the giants came to the land. When the volcano erupted, it tore the wall open between this world and Jotunheim. The giants came flooding in from the east, killing and eating whoever they could lay their hands on. Some people hide and struggle on, and others, well, use other methods to stem the tides. The Northmen will capture slaves, use them as sacrifices to prevent the giants from killing their own people. They will offer them to the giants, and in return, they'll be left alone. Senua is now marked by Iltoiga. If she tries to leave, she will hunt her and kill her. But it's impossible to kill a giant. However, Senua has killed gods before. Nothing is impossible. But again, Zimbel took over Senua's mind, telling her she can't kill the giants. She's done nothing but be stranded, that she's failed. Telling Senua that she must be burnt alive like her mother was to end the curse, with her seeing visions of her being burnt at the stake just like her mother did. Zimbel showing that this is what the gods would have wanted to relieve her of her sins. However, Senua was much more powerful this time around than she was in the previous game. She knew how to fight back, and she knew the mindset that she needed to get the job done. She sees through the darkness. She sees through Zimbel's lies, and Senua will show them how to see how she does. She will not appease to the gods. She will destroy them, in which point she's back to reality because she was so strong and she was in control.
All we can do is placate them. Slake the thirst with blood and fire.
I see through your darkness now. I see through your lies, and I will show them how to see as I do. I will not appease your gods. I will destroy them.
Lies, Senua. Your father's lies. Remember, he tried to hold you down in the darkness.
Darkness.
Told you there was no way out.
Senua speaks to Fargrimr, tells him he's wrong, there is a way to kill the giants. Fargrimr knew that Senua was special. He knows of her condition, that she can hear voices that others can't. She has the ability to see behind the veil as well. She is some kind of seer. Fargrimr tells Senua of an ancient group called the Hidden Folk. Secret, powerful people, once gods that now hide away in the shadows. The giants are scared of them, therefore they must hold the method to their defeat. However, the Hidden Ones do not like people too much. Once Fargrimr did consume their bitter bread, complete a series of trials in order to be granted a single blessing, but if we win their favour, they will give us what we seek, a method to killing the giants, or essentially taking down Iltaiga. Senua made her way to the rock face where it's rumoured they're situated, and she was presented with a series of tasks. Senua completed them, and suddenly a gateway inside of a lake opened up. She walked inside, torch in hand, and traversed through the tunnels in the cave. Throughout this cave, the Hidden Ones tested Senua. The darkness was here and ready to take her and test her at any given opportunity. It would present Senua with her deepest and darkest fears and use them against her to try and break her. All the lives lost, Senua feels responsible for them losing. All the lives that Senua feels responsible for losing were here and ready to drag her down into the deep, dark water. The Hidden Ones, impressed with Senua, would light the rest of the cave for her. She must now traverse the rest of the cave on her own, with only this light, being tested along the way in combat and mental strength. With one section of the cave, she hears a voice asking her for a sword. Senua ponders the idea, but trusts her instincts and places the sword into a hole, for then it disappears. She now has no way of defending herself to prevent the monsters from attacking her. Senua finally makes her way through the cave and can see the light. Senua can feel the Lost One's presence. She walks closer to a pool which she can see in the centre of the room, with the Hidden Ones starting to talk to her, asking Senua if she's ready for what lies ahead and what she'll find here. Before suddenly she falls through the pool and she's in a room holding a torch. The Hidden Ones then show Senua what she needs to know. In the first days, the air was sweet and fresh. The ground and the sea gave up their bounty. They knew that after all their fighting, they found somewhere to rest, somewhere to carve out. But the Aska screamed her fury, and her words blotted out the sun. She covered the green with her bitter poison, and drowned the hills in her bile. Nothing could breathe through the hatred. All the animals choked, their crops withered in the ground, and all the people withered too. The woman had to leave her, go in search for food, but everywhere, nothing. Where were their gods now? All had turned their backs. The terror of hunger and thirst drove the people to fury. As if the way of that kind, the weak lost all to the strong, with the weakest of all in the woman's arms. She still searched for haven, but the darkness from the sky leached down, and the flesh-eating ones with the awful hunger that could never be sated were legion. And death held dominion over all. New gods arose, darker and more terrible than those before. She could not let the child live in such a world, so she brought her to a cave where the Hidden Folk were set to live, so they could take the child, raise it, free from care, free from the darkness. She had nothing to feed her now, but her rage and despair. She made a deal. I will give myself to you if you will give me the power to triumph in this world you created. Take my life and give me your death. Senua reached the end, and it goes full circle. Senua is now on the other side of the hole, begging for her past self for the sword. Luckily, she did this. She gave her the sword, and she was able to defend herself and, again, prove her worth. Senua had found the way to defeat Iltaiga. Her name wasn't Iltaiga, it was Ingun. Senua, there in the cave, found her baby. This was her grief. Iltaiga wasn't always a giant. She was once a normal woman with a child, but took this path to save her child, to have her away from the horrible world that she lived in. She's lost in her rage, and Senua knows what she must do to free Iltaiga It's to speak her real name and reunite her with a baby once more. Fargrimr, Senua, and the rest of the settlement begin a ritual to summon Iltoiga. It was a success, and there she was, chained up, in pain, distressed. Tied down to her deal with Ashka, Senua breaks the chains holding her in place and finally reaches her. Senua walks closer to Iltoiga and speaks her real name, Ingun. She's in pain, and therefore reunites her with her baby. It was at this point that she was free. She just wanted to protect what she loved. When you fail, you become monstrous, consumed by rage, and now they're together again. Ingun and her child can finally rest, with both turning to stone.
You know what to do. Give it to her. Her baby. She just wanted to protect what she loved.
What happens when you fail?
You break.
You become monstrous.
Consumed by rage.
Grief.
No more.
Let them rest together.
Together.
Together now.
Let her rest.
It's time.
Sleep well. Inga. Silence. She is gone now. All the rage, all the fear, all the grief, all died with her. Gone. You did it, Senua. Now people will be free again. You brought hope.
Senua was successful in defeating the giant, and Thorgesta was adamant that with this knowledge his father would join them in defeating the giants, and there would be no more sacrifices. They would all leave at sunrise to make their way to the camp to tell Thorgesta's father what they'd done. Senua has the key. She didn't have to fight the giants. She didn't have to kill the giants. She just had to show them how the world had changed. The three of them make their way inland to another settlement called Bavovik. Thorgesta, however, is concerned. They hate the Bjorg. They will kill him straight up if they see him. Fargrimr says they won't kill him, as he and Senua will have his back. However, just as expected, the three of them were ambushed, and her name was Astrior. Fargrimr tries to explain to her that Senua knows how to kill these giants. He's seen it with his own eyes. Astrior didn't believe them at first, but you could see the changes in her face. The giants haunt their settlement, many killed because of it. This giant haunts their beaches and takes whomever it lays its hands on, sinks their boats and prevents them from going out to sea. Astrior wants Senua to prove it. She goes with Astrior, and here we learn that she's the last alive in her family. Her two brothers, dead. Her father, the leader of the settlement once, betrayed and killed. Senua finds another cave entrance on the beach. It was again the Hidden Ones showing her what she needed to see, the story behind this giant. Every monster was once a man or a woman. When the darkness came, the man stood shoulder to shoulder with his friends. They helped each other through the starvation and fear, and there was a tiny spark of hope that never died. But then the giants came, and so did the Draugr. The worst of them, the Bjorg. Men who were stronger and more ruthless, and took all they had and wanted more. The man loved his friends, but he feared the other men more. So when the man came to him offering a bloody bargain, he agreed. He would by trickery make over his leader to them, and in return, they would not trouble him. And so it was done, and his leader was taken and died at their hands. The man was ashamed, yet thought himself safe. But the settlement found out about his secret, and all stood against him. They cast him out, and he wandered the lonely cliffs until the sea took him. The sea took him and turned his blood into brine, spat him back on the shore as a giant. Now he wanders that same shore and hunts the ones that he once called kin. He's not a stranger, he haunts them. The man that betrayed Astria's father, this was the giant that was haunting the settlement. We need to find out the name of the man. The constant storm, the constant fear, no sunlight, just misery. You can see the giant roaming the village every now and then, but then Senua reaches Astria. The name of the man was Sagiri. Senua tells Astria that the giant is Sagiri, but suddenly the settlement became under attack, and here Senua's voice and Zimbel came back. Wherever Senua goes, all the death follows. Zimbel clouding her mind, making all of this seem real, like it's all her fault. Senua can feel all the hands of the ones that she lost on her skin, each death inked in blood. With Senua falling for it, saying she will leave, take the darkness with her to protect them. The voice is telling her that Zimbel was always right. With Senua crying, feeling terrible, but then in comes Astria. Senua snaps back to it and creates a plan to defeat the giant. Senua and the rest of the settlement will go into a cave and lure him out, using fire to slow him down, before Senua can hold him in her grasps and speak his name.
Come back, Sagir.
Every monster was once one man.
He was lost.
And you found him.
You brought him here. Home. Now he can rest.
Rest now, Saga.
Another haunted spirit given peace, another victim of the ravaged lands. Promise kept. The biggest challenge, however, lays ahead. The giant of Borgaverki. It's extremely strong, and the strongest one yet. Each life lost hangs over Senua's head. She feels it on her skin. The voices call, even the ones that live. She can't leave until this path is clean and clear. She must find the light within and hang it in the sky to guide the others away from the darkness, just like she did. This was very apparent in the next section of the story. The group went through a forest called Janvier. I believe that's the correct pronunciation, but I've probably butchered it. People who enter this forest don't always come back as they would go into it. And those that do come out missing something within them. It's a journey that Senua's been on all of her life, battling against her biggest fears. Senua had to help the rest throughout this. Take them through the journey that she's been through already and show them a different perspective on things. Senua was the guiding light for these three. If she wasn't there, they may not have made it through the forest at all. They finally made their way to Borgaverki, and there we see sacrifices strung up on spikes on the edges of the settlement. Astria and Fargrimr cut down the sacrifices, whilst Thorgesta and Senua made their way inside to speak with his father, Godi. The man who clouds her mind is there, the one person she's been waiting to meet this whole time. All has led to this moment. The leader of the Bjorg, Godi. When Thorgesta found there were no slaves, when Thorgesta told Godi that there were no slaves to sacrifice to the giants, his face immediately dropped. Thorgesta tried to explain how the giants can be killed, but Godi did not entertain this thought for a single second. Godau is dangerously close, which is the name of the giant. Senua tells Thorgesta that there's no swaying his father. She's known men like him, aka referring to her own father. You can see how Godi is in awe by the giant, showing he's in control of the giant Godao, and leads them down to the beach. A man runs in and tells Godi that the sacrifices are all gone, cut down from their spikes and let free. So they take Senua down. She would be the sacrifice. Senua, however, got the better of the two guards taking her down and met Fogesta and Astrio, but it was too late. The giant was coming, and Senua didn't know how to defeat it. The Hidden Ones didn't show her this one like they did with the previous ones. She doesn't know the giant's name. Senua runs across the settlement pathway, figuring out a way to fight the giant. She needed more time. Senua, however, fought as many guards as she could, but she was overpowered by Godi. Here we can see the giant in the sky, but also that Godi and the giant themselves were one. Fogesta, however, came out of nowhere and saved Senua. Godi and the giant begin to speak as one again, saying, "You will fall into line like the others, or you will die." But then time freezes. The hidden folk were back, and they explain everything. When the darkness came to this land, when the fire spilled from the mountains and the ash blotted out the sun, it wasn't the end. People starved and suffered, homes destroyed, and leaders fell. The ties of friendship loosened, and each one fought for their own. But in the sea of chaos, one rock stuck firm. He said, "I know what to do. Follow me, and I will save you." He meant it, wanted to keep them safe, his people. Then he saw that fear made the people turn to him. They trusted him, obeyed him, raised him above the others. Their fear made him stronger. And as the land healed and the people healed, their fear ebbed. And he saw them start to turn away, to think to themselves, to choose their own path. And he felt his own strength ebb him turn. He wanted to hook onto that strength, to hold his place in their hearts. So he created the giants. He brought them forth from the shaking earth, the roaring sea, the blinding snow. Brought them into being. Then the people who trusted him and obeyed him, they saw them too, and they saw they had more to fear. He knew he held the key. Make them fear, and you can make them do anything. Make them hate, make them punish the weak, make them turn against one another, each on each. This is exactly what this giant is doing. Makes them turn against his own kind, and again kill Thogesta. The giant itself was created by Godi. This exact description describes Godi perfectly, and he kills his own son. Thogesta reaches out to Senua, whilst he'd just been stabbed by his father, and she holds him. Thogesta told Senua what she needed to know. There is always someone ready to take his place, so killing is not the way. Senua has to show them a different way. Senua must kill the giant. The giant is embedded with Thogesta's father, and his name is Alifia. Senua battles Alifia. Senua battles against Alifia. Senua will show everyone his lies. There are no giants. It is just you, Alifia. All of the people he once scared, all the people that were with him, turned against him after knowing this. They throwing him back into the middle of the ring when Senua is battling him. He's nothing but a weak old man. All his strength comes from his people, and without the giants, he is nothing. Senua overpowers him, and like she was doing at the beginning of the game with Fogesta, took a rock and held it above her head, and ready to strike Alfia. Held it above her head, ready to strike Alifia. The voice of Zimbel haunts Senua in the back of her mind, telling her she is her father's daughter, death and darkness is within her, and will never leave. Until the hidden folk begin to speak. Did you see how they cling to you, pleading? Do you see how their hands drag you down? You are everything. What would you do to keep them from harm? What would you do for the truth? Senua chooses a different path.
And then you will find that belief makes you strong. And you will want to hold on to that strength no matter what. You will become you are your father's daughter.
He brought your people here to murder you. No peace in meeting death with death.
Do you see how they cling to you, pleading? Do you see how their hands drag you down? You are everything. What would you do to keep them from harm? What would you do for the truth?
She has to save her. She has to save her.
I choose how to end this.
She couldn't do it.
Couldn't.
She chose a different path.
She's not like him.
We are not a monster.
You chose a different path.
All the questions answered. Truth burning bright to scour away the darkness. Shadows of horror and hate writ large on the sky. Phantoms made from fear. Darkness outside makes darkness inside. She sees it. But the darkness is inside her too. Because she loves, even after everything. She loves. And if she loves, what will she do to save that love, to keep that promise? Or the lost ones, when they find her, what will she do to protect them? All those names, all those lives. What will she do to hold them? Wisdom has a price. She is her mother's child. But she is also her father's.
I see it now. The darkness is inside me. But not the way I thought.
Yes, feel it.
Yes, you can see it, can't you?
It is his darkness. Not hers.
Your darkness.
And it carves a path for me.
In your blood, in your bones.
But I can't see where it leads.
Haunting you forever.
Part of me wants to let go of the fear. Let go of my shadows. And be free. No more pain. No more doubt. Honored. Loved. Feared. Always true. Always right. Because they tell me so. Keeping them safe. Keeping their belief alive. No matter the cost. Is this my fate?
Senua.
Can I choose my way?
What will we become?
We are not our fathers. There is always a choice. You taught me that.
We will choose. Together.
You decide.
All her life she has been alone. She chose it. A shield to keep her heart from harm. A hymn to still the other voices, the ones outside. Not anymore. The ones she saved, the names she found, they lift her up. Their hands reach out to hers. And now, she reaches back to them. Her story is not written. There is always a choice.
And that is the story of Hellblade 2, ladies and gentlemen. What a fantastic game. I loved every single minute of playing through this one. It wasn't a very long game as such, but it was so good. I loved every minute of it, and I would go through it again in a heartbeat. One of the best games of the year by far at this point in time, visually and story-wise. I'm very, very impressed. Well done, Ninja Theory. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below, everyone, though. If you made it this far into the video, comment Senua down below so I can see who watched to the very end, and you'll then be entered into the giveaway to win a couple of copies of Hellblade 2. What did you guys think of Hellblade 2, the story and the gameplay? Let me know your thoughts down below. Let's try and smash the like goal of 500 likes. That'd be absolutely amazing. But guys, I really do appreciate it. I'm happy to be back. Really, really am. I really enjoyed making this video. There's plenty more videos like this on the channel, so make sure you are subscribed. Stick around for more Hellblade 2 videos coming, so there will be a couple more after this one, following on from the ending explained, and then also going into maybe a little review for the game as well, because I feel like I need to do a review for a game that was this good. But take care, everyone. Speak soon. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.